Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. Hi everyone and welcome to another recommendations video. Today we are taking on one of my absolute favorite recommendations to do, which is of course age gap. This one is like literally every month. This is probably my most read like trope within a trope because I just love age gap so much. My curtains are being annoying. I love age gap so much. It's personally my favorite thing to read. I love it when it's within any other subgenre, even pretty much. I just love it. And it's kind of, I don't know, irony is probably the way I would look at it, because recently on Threads, I guess, which, I'm tired of bringing Threads news. Like, Threads can just go jump off a cliff. I really don't care for it, but it still gets shoved in my face all the time because Instagram is a big part of my job and what I do, and so I have to be on Instagram. And Instagram, because it's all in one twisted universe, thrusts these thread things at you all the time. It's so annoying. But there was someone who was complaining about, I guess Ali Hazelwood has a book coming out that is an age gap, and there was some people saying that like people's frontal lobes need to be fully developed before they're in a romance, and if one person is older than the other, then it's automatically a twisted situation. And I don't know, number one, we just don't do that noise here at the Book Refuge. Other people can have whatever their taste is, but age gap, not only are age gaps one of the most common things in real relationships, okay? Not even in fiction, in real relationships. My own parents are an age gap. One of my best friends, she's in an age gap. Her husband's 9 years older than her. It isn't always this twisted thing. So I'm like, I feel bad if that person ever saw a very unhealthy age gap, because like any relationship, here's the thing, any relationship can be toxic. Any relationship can have a power dynamic, and it doesn't have to be an age. Are there some age gaps that are predatory? Yes, but again, so many types of relationships can be predatory. Okay, you can be the same age as someone. You can even be the older one, and it can be that, right? You guys know that. You know how I feel here, okay? I already make the most taboo of taboo romance recommendations. Age gap to me is so vanilla. Of course, it can be mixed in with anything else, but age gap is just like, why? Like, why are people making a big deal about it? Now, the thing is, I already had an age gap video ready to go. Like, some of these videos, you guys know, I make them as soon as I have enough recommendations to do another one. Like, I do that with, you know, like enemies to lovers. I do it with age gap. I do it with fantasy. I do it with mafia. When I've read enough new ones that I like and want to recommend, I make a video. And also on my video request form, which is always in my description, I have people requesting age gaps. Sometimes they're very specific, and if you check out my recommendation playlist, you'll know like I have age gaps of some that are specific, right? I have one that is ex-boyfriend's dad. I have a couple that are older women. I have like some that are specific, but then I also just have some where I put it all together. So that is this one today. It is just, I think I have like 11 or 12 here. That is just age gaps. They're all mixed together. Of course, I'll tell you how, you know, what the other tropes are within it. But anyway, you know me. Sometimes I just got to rant at the beginning of these because it always comes from people who are new to romance, or they've just been like drawn into romance by the really big titles, which again, I always say it's great to have those intro authors. You have some people who will read that and they'll realize that, oh my gosh, romance is what I've been wanting to read. And then it leads them down a whole path. I know a lot of you, I've convinced you to read things over the years that you never would have read. And now you're so much more open to things. And I love seeing that. It makes me so happy. And the thing about it is like, there are still those people that it's their first tiptoe into it, right? It's their first tiptoe into it. And so it all feels very shocking and very, you know, inappropriate to them if they don't understand what they're going to be reading. Okay. And that's fine if it's shocking to you. It's when people start saying that you're gross for liking it or ew or whatever, that protective Jen over here with her Book Refuge platform gets very upset, and I start to get really irritated when I see that. And because I can't change the world, I can only, you know, affect my little section of it. That means we're doing the age gap rec today. Okay, so with 5 minutes of an intro, let's get into these. Again, they're all over the first one I have here for you is A Major Puck Up. And this is actually book 3 in a series, but it was the first one that I read in this series because the tropes in it have me really excited, right? This is an age gap. It's a dad's best friend. It is a baby on the doorstep. It's a not it's a not her baby, but there's also not other woman drama. And so it had all of these things that I was very excited about. So this story starts out with Millie, who she kind of wants a bit of revenge against her dad. She's angry with him about, I believe her dad got with her best friend, I think is what this one was. I can't quite remember that, but there's a reason she wants revenge on her dad. And so she actually seduces her dad's best friend. And I don't know that he remembers who Millie is when they first have that interaction. Or he might know and they're just kind of drunk and it happens. But either way, they have this interaction and it's fantastic. She isn't expecting to like it quite as much as she does. But now she's kind of put them in a pickle. So they go back to their regular life and they're not going to be able to have anything with them because there's just too much stuff going on. Well, then he discovers that he has a surprise daughter, and it's not Millie's kid. It is someone else that he was with before who left this baby on his doorstep, and now he has a baby to take care of. And he doesn't know what hit him with this, but he immediately jumps all into being this kid's dad. And so you are just love Gavin so much. You're like, you are a king. Okay. We love you. He isn't even, he doesn't even sure for sure this kid is his, but before even getting the DNA test or doing that, he's like, I'm going to take care of this little kid because even if it's not mine, they need someone to love her. I have lots of money. I'm a wealthy guy. I'm going to take care of this baby. And I love that. We love it so much. So then that kind of reintroduces Millie back into this. And she, not only does she has to grovel a little bit. She has to work things out with her dad. And now this guy that she, again, had kind of slept with as a bit of revenge for her dad, now realizes she has feelings. So she's like, oops, what did I do? She needs to, get her shit together because he's like, I'm going to be raising this baby and I don't have time to play games. We need to get on track. And so I really appreciated that. And sorry, I did pull up my notes for this one because I didn't want to mess this up. And it has been, let me double check. I think it's been over a year since I read this one. Yeah, I read this one over a year ago. And I didn't want to mess up talking about it because I really liked it. But I was rooting for them. And so even though Millie had made a mistake, she was very hurt. She does, she'll work on herself. We'll just say, I don't need to go into the whole book. Sorry. I talk too much about my books sometimes. We know this, but I really liked this one. I obviously think you can jump right into this one. I hadn't read any previous ones in the book, or in the series, so definitely do that. Okay, next up, there was Silver Foxed by Kayla Gross. This is about novella length, and this is another dad's best friend. I mean, there's going to be a lot of those on this list because I read a lot of those, just so you know. This isn't themed to one particular thing, but there's a lot of them. So this one, you probably saw this one around if you like age gaps. Kayla Gross writes a lot of kinky, fun stuff, and this one is basically like a weekend fling type romance. And so the heroine's mom told her to stay at their vacation house for the weekend, and the hero's I think it's a business partner, but I know it's his friend. He's told that he can stay there for the weekend. And so they both end up there at the same time. And the man, who again is about her father's age, Silver Fox, as you can tell by the cover here, he is like, oh my gosh, I don't want to intrude. And our heroine, who, this is an age gap, but also I believe she's in her late 20s. So if you don't want the heroine to be too young, no, she isn't. She is in her later 20s, and he's in his 50s, I think. So, it's not the worst thing you've ever read, right? Not that anyone should think any of these are the worst thing, but you know what I meant. Okay, you know what I meant. And she ends up basically kind of tempting him into why don't you stay the weekend? And right away, she wants to get with this guy. She does. And she's like, he's hot. We're here for the weekend. Let's have fun. And so they do some fun role playing and kinky stuff on the beach. And this was great. There is an audiobook for this one out already, so dive on into it and have a good time. Okay, so this one we have Undeniably Forbidden, and this one is best friend's little sister, so not quite as huge of an age gap, although I think this one is about 12 years. And so these two definitely know who each other is, and I believe the hero is in another country for some reason. I think that's what it is. Either way, she normally doesn't live around there. She's lived somewhere else and been, I think, a long-term nanny or something like that. She's also an artist, and she was kind of doing an au pair thing at the same time. And they end up bumping into each other, and they both got stood up up for dates. And because they're both in the same place, they end up having a one-night stand. You know, she's now adult and gorgeous, and he is a single dad, and he's kind of like, you know, having a free night, right? So they hook up, it's super hot, and then there's not going to be anything else between them because they do know that they're connected. Like, this is one that it isn't a surprise. What neither of them know, though, is that she will very soon end up moving back to the town they live in, and to help her out in the meantime, her brother gets her an interview with Owen to be a nanny for his child. And she does definitely have the qualifications to do such a thing. And so Estlin is actually her name. I think that is cool. And so her brother encourages her to become the nanny for it. She thinks it could be what she needs, only she discovers that it is the man she had this one night stand with, and that it isn't going to go well, right? Maybe they did they not recognize each other? Didn't know that it was that friend, because she might not know he has a kid. I'm sorry if I'm saying things wrong with here, but anyway, he's a pediatric surgeon and a billionaire and a single dad, and we love all that stuff. And yeah, she ends up taking care of his kid. And this did give me, in certain aspects, gave me a bit of Heartless vibes because of him being very defensive about the care of his daughter, and her kind of being like, hey, you either trust me or you don't. I like your kid. I want to do good by her. So like, chill, right? But he's very protective of his daughter, and yeah, but this was very swoony. There's lots of parts too where he's calling them his girls, and yeah, it was good. It was hot, and I really have enjoyed this series. I've read this whole series by Jay Shaman, and I believe the last one comes out, is it the very end of this month? We still haven't got the ALCs for this one yet, but I believe it's the very end of this month that they'll be coming out, and I just have loved all of these. There's also, I didn't put that one down here, but there's also one later on in the series. Let me look. That is actually an older woman one, and it's a football player and a doctor. Let me just pull it up. I didn't put that one on my list, but I don't think I have any older women ones on the list this time. So or no, I do have one other one, but what was it? Undeniably Married is an older woman one. Okay, so I'll put that in the links down below too as well. Okay, next up, we have Sunday Morning by Julianne, and this is book 1 in the Sunday Morning series, and this whole series is forbidden age gaps, but this one is ex-boyfriend's brother, as well as like fake boyfriend's brother, and I'll tell you how that one is set up. So in this one we have Sarah, and she's a preacher's daughter and a people pleaser, and she's been dating Matt for like their whole like high school, and they both are just graduated, and everyone thinks she's going to marry Matt, and he is the son of the town's richest rancher. They're so cute. We love them together. It's great. But Sarah and Matt don't think they'll be together forever. They're really good friends, and near the beginning of this book they actually do like lose their virginity to each other because they both want it to be with someone that they care about, but they're not planning to stay together forever. Like, it is known. There's no real like hurt between Maddie and Sarah, okay? But Matt's older brother has come back from the military. He was in the military for 6 years, and he's come back to work the family ranch, and he is really the black sheep of the family, or so everyone says, and he's just very much like seen as this or whatever. And right away, what's Isaac and Sarah really have this like back and forth banter, and he's actually the only one who supports her love of music. She wants to be a singer, she wants to play guitar, and he actually has a guitar, and so he will let her like play it sometimes. And so the thing is though, so like I said, Matt and Sarah aren't planning to stay together, but because they don't want to deal with the town like being like, oh, you guys broke up, or oh, we wanted you to be together, they like break up when school's over, but they're pretending to date for the rest of the summer just so they don't have to deal with everyone. And like, so everyone would think if she would be with Isaac that she would then be cheating on Matt. So anyway, that's kind of the complicated setup. But also Isaac is seen, as I said, as the black sheep of the family because of the reasons why he was sent away to, or why he went to the military when he was 18, and a bunch of things. I won't spoil those things for you, but he's definitely seen as the bad boy, whereas Maddie is the good boy. And so there's a lot of kind of like tension in that. But I ended up really liking this, and as I said with it, like, her being the preacher's daughter, there definitely are some religious themes in here, but I myself, as a Christian myself, I enjoyed the way that Sarah thought about it. There are times where she's challenged in her faith and where she isn't sure if she believes things the way that her parents have told her to, but I still appreciated that it didn't feel like disrespectful while she was going through that. because that is something I find a lot of times if someone grew up in a religious home, the religious home is very abusive, and that's because a lot of people have that in their past. And so authors who write this book, they like use those books to like purge those feelings. That is not what this one felt like. It doesn't mean it's not challenged. It also doesn't mean that this is overly religious, okay? So I want to put that out there because I know it won't be for everyone, because even having the character be a Christian and having like that won't work. But it truly worked for me because I wasn't offended by it. I was also appreciated the discussions that were happening, because I'm not someone who has blind faith in anything, and the reason I still have a faith is because I've challenged it and tried it and adjusted my thinking over time. So anyway, just want to put that out there. Okay, then we have Sweet Prison. This was the most recent release by Neva Altaj, and this is book 10 in her Perfectly Imperfect series, and this one is definitely a taboo age gap. This is a stepbrother romance, and he is 18 years older than her. He, didn't grow up with her obviously at all. Her family is she had a older brother, an older sister, and her mother, and the mother married backwards. She had a father, right? Yes, had a father, and then Massimo had the mother, and so the mother married her father, and so Massimo and her older brother, they were actually really close. And when that brother is killed, this happens at the very beginning of this story, Massimo gets revenge for that, and instead of the judge granting leniency, which they thought they had this judge in their pocket, things go the other way, and he gets a very long sentence, and he's put in prison. And the thing is, though, is he is still like the head of the mafia, and there are plenty of mafia kings who still run stuff while they are inside. And so our heroine, Zahara, her father is the one kind of running in Massimo's stead. And he will go and visit Massimo every week. They will discuss what's going on, and then he will, put his orders out. And he's going to be in prison for, how long is he in there? I don't know. It's a long time, we'll just say, because Zahara goes from being a child to being like 20 years old by the time he's out and everything. But at some point during his imprisonment, she actually writes him a letter when she's about 15 or 16. She writes him a letter for a school project, and since this is someone she can write letters to, she does. And when she sends this letter, there are some things that she puts in it that make Massimo realize that it doesn't match up with some of the things he's being told by her father when he comes to visit. And so Massimo thinks he's real clever, and he starts writing letters back to Zahara and getting information from her. And through the years of their pen pal relationship, which again is very platonic for most of this time, she gives him information. And I mean, she's not stupid. Eventually she knows what she's doing, and she loves being able to write these letters. So a good chunk of this book is an epistolatory romance between this stepbrother and stepsister. Now, Zahara also has a skin condition where you can kind of even see it on the cover. They put it where she has these discoloration to her skin. I think it's listed here. Let me see if it's put here. Oh, maybe it isn't. Maybe it isn't what it's called. I apologize for not knowing what the name of the condition was, but it's put in here. Yeah, so the age gap is 17 years, by the way. And when they first see each other again, she's 18, but there is like some more after it, because eventually, and I don't want to spoil everything for this one, but a good chunk of this book is their letters back and forth. And then there's a time where if you've read Darkest Sins, which is intricately connected with this one, that is Zahara's sister's story and what is happening on her side of things and her romance. I do highly recommend that you read Darkest Sins before you read this one, because it will spoil some things. And also, I also gave that one 5 stars. That was amazing. This was a 6-star read for me. That one was 5 stars. Loved it. But there's some big things that go on, and the very first time that these two meet is actually at a funeral of someone, and he discovers that his little stepsister that he hasn't seen in, I don't know, it was 10, 12 years, this woman he's been writing letters to is she's a woman now, and she's gorgeous. And he's like, oh my gosh, wow, that's inappropriate for me to be thinking this about my stepsister. But yeah, so that I've said enough. Eventually he will get out, and he's a very obviously different person than when he went in. And he now has this crazy, like, there's this connection these two have. She's the one who knows him best in all the world. And he is a very broken, disturbed man. He has honestly this voice in his head now that I like to say, if you've read Wolf Gone Wild, he basically has like an alpha voice in his head. And it's even written in here a bit like that, like the voice that he talks to. Let me find it. Let me find one because it's great. It very much feels like almost like a Mateo in his head. Let me find one. Where is it? Here we go. It does kind of the like, these dark words are the guy, his like serious, literally like the alpha in his head who wants things. And that's the one who is, you know, convincing him that he is in love with Sahara, which is great. So this is her like longest book. It is the 10th book in a series, and it is the best one to me. Okay. I love multiple books in this series, but even when I compare to like Broken Whispers, which I absolutely adore, that is a much simpler, quick story, right? Her second book, which I still love deeply, that was a 5-star read. I've revisited it multiple times and it holds up for me. Her writing has only gotten better to me. And especially some of these later ones in the series, like I think it's book 7 and books 9 and 10 are wonderful. They're so good. So anyway, highly recommend. I believe like all of her books are age gaps BT dubs. So, you know, I just shared that one because it was my most recent like favorite of hers, but they're pretty much all age gaps if you like age gaps. A lot of mafia romances are age gaps, so there's that. Okay, then we also have Braving the Storm by Elliot Rose. This is another kind of forbidden like step relationship because this one is a step uncle and they're estranged, like the family's estranged. It's not like those two specifically are estranged from each other. They just haven't been around each other in a long time. And he's estranged from his, I think he was adopted. That's actually what it is. Like he was adopted into the family, and it's pretty like twisted family. And our heroine, I forgot what her name is for a second here. It's been a hot minute. Briar. She is having a tough time, and so she leaves her family to go stay on Crimson Ridge, where she has the deed to some land that her father left her. Her father has died and left her this, but what she doesn't know is that, again, her adopted estranged uncle Storm, he's the one who lives there. He's a farrier on Crimson Ridge. He lives there, and so she showed up to stay there, and apparently she's not thinking, because like this place, if no one was living there, like why is it furnished and have food there and all these things and have the heat turned on? And because, I mean, she is from a very privileged home, by the way. So it's, you know, to us, we'd be like, girl, you should see the warning signs. But to her, she's like, there must be someone who maintains this house. And little does she know that her adopted uncle is about to come home and find her just getting out of the shower and think that she is a buckle bunny, because he used to be a professional rider or whatever. And he's ready to be like, okay, well, this chick is going to show up and offer herself to me, only to realize it's his adoptive niece. And now they are both there staying in his home, and things are going to get really spicy between the two of them because they have no family connection. They don't even know each other. And he's very much estranged from this family who adopted him. It was so weird. And she's having trouble with the family back home too. So they're just going to be secluded together in this little mountain cabin. And, you know, nothing untoward, of course, is ever going to happen. I mean, never. We've never so. Okay. Next up, there is Meet Me in Wonderland by Angel Anders, and this is an ex-boyfriend's dad, but also boss. So our heroine in this one works for the hero, and she had been dating his son for quite a while, and it isn't a good relationship. They end up getting divorced. Now there is a winter retreat that they're supposed to have, and so there is this place that they rented out, like a bunch of cabins in the area, and they're gonna have like a winter retreat there. And it turns out a storm comes in, and they're the only two who ended up there. And she had her own cabin. He was in like a cabin and she was in a separate one, and like the heat or the water and the power isn't working in one of the cabins because they have a huge storm, so she ends up having to stay with him. And then there is a forbidden tryst between the two of them because, yeah, she like works for him and dated his son, and there's all of these things involved, so that one's definitely going to be pretty complicated. Then I wanted to share Empire of Temptation by Mila Finelli. This is a new series from her, but it does spin off from The Kings of Italy. But you can dive right into this one to start if you want to. No trouble at all. And this one actually has our hero who is sent to, I think it's to New York. Yeah, because the Empire of Temptation, yeah. To get some info on a man who betrayed the family. And he has a daughter who this daughter did not even know that her father was really a part of all of these things, from what I can tell. And her mother has died of I think it was of cancer, and she's taken over the business, which is this restaurant, and it's barely holding it together. And one day this suave guy in a suit shows up and just starts changing her life. Now, he's supposed to, as I said, just be there to watch her. He's actually supposed to kidnap her and bring her back to Sicily to force her father's hand. She has had no contact with her father, like, as far as she knows, since she was a child. And so when he eventually, like, first he doesn't tell her anything about, you know, why he's there or whatever. He just has this crazy connection and comes in and starts helping her fix her business, and they have a crazy flirty relationship and things are getting hot between them. And then she starts to discover why he's really there and what's going on, and it's going to be too late for her to get away from him, for sure. Then I have an one for you, and this one is Pretty Broken Doll by Bree Wiley. This was a debut, like this was a new to me author. I don't think she's debut. She had some other books from what I've seen. But this one is, deals with a lot of mental health stuff, and this one is also a boss and an intern thing. So this actually starts with like a failed one-night stand. This billionaire, he went out to pick up a hookup and it didn't work out, but he ends up trying to hook up with his like basically Uber driver. Things go very badly for them. And it turns out that this young man that he almost fucked, this was his first time, and that's why like things didn't go well, and like the hero's being all like dominant over him, and like he wants it to happen, but then like things don't work. Very embarrassing. Actually, he's mortified. And then only to find that the job that he got an internship at through his sister. So it turns out that this younger man, his sister is dating the hero's brother, and that's why he gets this intro to this company. It's his boss. So yeah, but they do end up working on things, but also our hero is, like, his father knows that he's gay, but his father is also like not, like, he's told his father that he's like bisexual, right? And so his father is always pushing the woman's side on him, right? That's what happens a lot. And he's trying to push this like marriage on him. Maybe because I don't even know if he has dated women really. I can't remember the full setup, but the point being, the dad is still trying to make him do like a business marriage, and he's like, you can fuck whoever you want, but like you're gonna do this, and you know that always goes so well. As well as he's trying to have this relationship with this intern who works for him and who is very emotionally fragile. Like he really is. There's a lot of mental health issues to deal with in this one. He has had to like hide his sexuality, and now he's getting the chance to experiment with this super hot older man who has said, I'm going to be emotionally detached. So this is just like, it's a hot mess, but it also was like so good at the same time. You know, you just love that toxicity level sometimes. But this was also heartwarming and beautiful, and I really want to read another book from this author eventually. I liked it a lot. Okay, then there was The Broker by Nikki Sloan. She also has lots of age gaps in her series. And this one is a not dad's best friend, but like dad's employee. So he is a broker, obviously, and he's working for her dad's company, and she's actually in kind of a bad spot with her parents. She had a failed relationship that caused her to kind of move home to her parents with like her tail between her legs, and her father is super wealthy, but he's like, I think you need to start earning your money and she needs to do a little bit of penance, whether that's deserved or not. You'll have to see when you read it. And so she starts actually like cleaning the office. So she's working for her dad, but not in the same way of like, she's not working at that moment day by day for this man. Now, she actually almost she does have like a one-night stand with this guy. But one of the things that I thought was hot is like they have a one-night stand, but they don't have penetrative sex, because she tells the guy, she's like, I definitely want to fool around with you. We can get each other off. But she's like, I'm not having full intercourse with anyone until I'm in a committed relationship again, because and he's, totally respectful of it. He's like, great, you're hot, I'm hot. We can do other stuff too, which I actually loved because, I don't know. I like whenever we're honest about the only way to have sex isn't just P and V, right? We know that, obviously. And not just for like queer couples too. Like there are other ways you can please each other without that. And I really enjoyed that being looked into. But anyway, then she finds out who he is. And so then we're like, this isn't going to happen. But her father offers his employee to have his daughter clean for him, not for free, obviously. He's going to have to pay her. And so now she's forced to like see this guy again. She has to go and clean his house. And where the kink comes in with this one, right, because Nikki Sloan is always going to have a kink with this one, is that one of the times she comes to clean, she shows up early and he's fucking a woman. And instead of leaving, she stays to watch. And the woman is actually like, thinks it's hot and is like, it turns out she's actually a married woman and her husband is cool with this. And our hero is actually like a swinger, and he will swing with married couples. He's not into any, like, he's not bisexual, but sometimes they will share the wife, or often he will like cuckold the husband, and the husband's cool with this. And our heroine discovers that she really likes watching because she likes when she doesn't have to be responsible for his pleasure, but gets to watch him have it, which I thought was really interesting. I won't say any more because half the fun of a Nikki Sloan for me is A, whatever kink she puts in the book, and B, how she explores it and what we learn about like sexuality through the story she's telling. I really enjoy that. So recommend that one. And then the last one I want to recommend is The Moon and His Tides by Gianna Darling. Now, this is a bit risky recommendation because this trilogy is not all out yet, but she does have books 2 and 3 coming this year, knock on wood. But book 1 does have a cliffhanger to it, so just know that. But this is a forbidden age gap. This is an MMF, a bi awakening, and this has the heroine in it is actually the oldest one. So I believe she's 34. Is she 34? I don't know. She might be 38 even. I'm not 100% sure. I think she's 34 though. And then her husband is 28. And then the youngest hero, Sebastian, he's 18 when this starts. So it is a bit of a believability jump that he will be as suave and as sexy as he is. In the beginning, he's basically working for a car service while he's pursuing acting. So he's pursuing acting. He is in like a theater production in the beginning, and he's driving our heroine around. And he's very attracted to her, and there's some crazy stuff that happens early on with these two. But what Sebastian doesn't know, he just kind of wants to seduce this woman. What he doesn't know is that her and her husband, who she very much supports her husband and helps him do his projects, but he's a very famous actor, and his wife is his like behind the scenes, but also like very much helps him with his career and has since they first met. They are actually into having a third be in their relationship, and they actually have had a live-in boyfriend before for the both of them. And so when they end up asking this for Sebastian, well, Sebastian's never been with a man before, but there's just something about Adam that is so magnetic and does turn him on so much that though it takes a bit of time to like warm up to it, he is very willing to experiment with them and like see if that's what he wants. And eventually things will progress with these two. So again, there's a cliffhanger to this one, but it was so well done and so well told. And Gianna Darling, like, man, she's back, you guys. Like, there was a few years there where I was really worried about where things were going with her. I'm just being honest, but like this story was so good to me, and I cannot wait for what she is gonna put out next in this series. It's gonna be good. And I'm so glad, because we've waited a very long time for Sebastian's story and we deserve a good one, and this is giving it to us. So, all right, there you go. I'm going to wrap up this age gap recommendation video. Again, if you want more, I think I made a separate playlist just for age gaps. If I haven't, here's my recommendation playlist. You can just search age gaps within it, and there are 6 other ones. This is the 7th one I'm doing today. But yeah, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it with someone you think likes these recommendations. If you want to purchase any of these books, if you use one of my links, it really does help me out here. And we will see you in the next one. Bye.